Here's an interview from one of our past shows on Rock and Metal Revival. If you're interested in hearing full shows, go to our Facebook page and check out our list of affiliates for times and places where you can hear Rock and Metal Revival.
All right, that was that was Inglorious with She Won't Let You Go off their new album We Will Ride. And on the phone, I got none other than their vocalist, Nathan James. How you doing, Nathan?
I'm very well, man. How are you?
Doing good. Colder than heck here, but we're all right.
Yeah, it's pretty cold here, but I don't know if it's quite as cold as it is there.
Yeah, I'm in Wisconsin, so it's like 4 degrees.
Yeah,
4 degrees, so it's cold. So We Will Ride is your fourth release, but your first with this lineup. Is this the lineup you were touring with before the COVID thing kind of shut everything down?
Yeah, this is the lineup that we're touring after we had a bit of a lineup change, and yeah, these guys have been in the band over 2 years now, so it's kind of cool to finally have them on a record, and I know they're super excited about it as well.
Oh yeah, and the new guys, the guitarists, are really good. I'm really enjoying their playing on this. Where'd you find these guys?
Well, one of the guys, Dan, I actually used to jam with in Camden in London on a night called Metalworks, which is actually the place that kind of where Richie Faulkner from Judas Priest was discovered. And,
okay.
It's the same band basically that play there. It's a covers band that play every Sunday. So yeah, that was kind of cool. I found Dan there, and I was friends with him for a very long time, and I knew he was the right guy. And then Danny, who I first met when he was 15. And he covered one of our songs on YouTube. And this makes me feel really old now. But he covered one of the songs on YouTube, and I met him at a show, and he said, "Hey, like I'm the guy from YouTube." And I thought, "Wow, you're amazing, even at 15."
Yeah.
And then we kept in touch. And then when he was about 17, 18, he came on tour to tech for the other guitarists in the band. And then, cut to a couple of years later, he's in the band. He really worked his way up, So yeah, he's an incredible musician, and I'm blown away when I listen back to what he's done on this album. As a 20-year-old guitarist, that's how old he was when he recorded it.
Man,
it's just mind blowing.
Yeah, definitely. Now I've watched the video for She Won't Let You Go, and I love that little optical illusion at the beginning with the little tiny Marshall amp, and he comes up and kicks it.
Thanks, man. Yeah, that was my idea.
That was yours?
I actually had to ring Marshall and say, "Excuse me, just so you know, is it okay to kick one of your amps?" Because I didn't want them to watch it and take our endorsement away.
Nice. Yeah, that was pretty cool. Now, can you give us what's the story behind this song, "She Won't Let You Go"? I know I saw the video of you explaining it a little bit.
Yeah, it was a crazy night out in London, and the band went out, and I actually let me do this the right way. Okay. So I'd written this chorus for the song, and I wrote the words "red-haired lady got a nasty reputation." And I thought, okay, now I need to think of a red-haired lady. Who's this red-haired lady going to be? And I remembered previously I went out on a night out with the band, and the band and I met this red-haired lady who ended up taking a shine to one of my friends. They spent the evening making out and having a nice time, and then she turned on him and started kicking the hell out of him and punching him in the face.
Dang.
And I asked her if she was okay, like what had happened, and my friend just was like, "It's okay." and she said, just kind of laughed at me as if, and it was very, very strange. So, cut to later that evening, this happens over and over again throughout the whole night. They're making out, and then she punches him. Then the next thing we know is we get a phone call. He went home with her, and then she kicked him out of her house at 3 a.m. So, yeah, it didn't go very well for him. But I thought this woman was absolutely crazy, and she's worthy enough of having a song written about her.
Oh, nice. I bet she likes it.
Yeah, she's the inspiration of it.
So, reading through the promo material for this album, it said with all the COVID downtime, you spent a lot of time watching Netflix documentaries and stuff, and that was some of your inspiration for some of the lyrics and some of the songs. Could you give us a song that was inspired by something off of one of those documentaries?
Yeah, I watched a lot of true crime documentaries. That's what I really like for some reason. I don't know. I find them fascinating. I find it fascinating characters who are just... These were like little babies once, and they grow up to be these terrible monsters. I find it bizarre. So the song Cruel Intentions is actually written about a very famous serial killer. And I watched a documentary on that serial killer. I'm not going to say their name because one thing I've learned is that most of the time these serial killers wanted to be famous, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
And they wanted to be celebrated. And I kind of I've made a rule that I'm never going to tell anyone exactly who it is. You might be able to work it out, but they don't deserve. They don't actually deserve a song being written about them, to be honest, because they're an awful, awful human being. So yeah, I wrote that about a serial killer, and then there was a song called Messiah, which is our new single. I watched an amazing series called Messiah, and it was about this dude who claimed to be the second coming, and he was kind of just a showman who convinced the whole world after performing a few illusions that he was in fact Jesus Christ. And I found the whole idea of that very, very worrying, that so many people could be swayed into believing someone just after a few tricks, So that song was kind of written about that.
Okay, yeah. Now, Joel Hockstra has a couple writing credits on this album. How'd you, I know he's a friend of yours from Trans-Siberian Orchestra. Now, how'd he get involved?
I rang Joel for this album because I love his writing, I love his playing, and I knew that he always brings something different that we would never come up with. So I wanted something on this album that had a really unique sound, and the two songs he's provided with myself have definitely done that.
Oh, yeah.
Medusa is our first ever Inglorious song with slide guitar on, which is a huge step for us. And that came from Joel. And then God of War, which is one later on the album, is a totally different thing to anything we'd ever write. The verses are really kind of low and broken down and very light, and we've never done that before. So to me, it definitely did its job. It brought a bit of variety to the album, and also he's just a wonderful guy, and I love working with him.
A heck of a guitar player, man. Crazy the way that guy can play.
There's not many guitar players that could play all of the gigs that he has.
Oh no, because
that's what I keep thinking. Foreigner, Night Ranger, Cher, Trans-Siberian Orchestra, Rock of Ages on Broadway. The list is just Whitesnake, of course. So yeah, he is one hell of a musician.
Oh yeah. So this is your first album where you actually used a producer. Now, how'd you decide? You guys decide we should use a producer, and how'd you decide who you'd use?
I felt like it was just time. We produced our own records before, and the reason we did that is because we tracked live pretty much previously. This time we couldn't have tracked live because of COVID anyway, but I just knew I wanted something different. I wanted something that sounded more contemporary, and so I set about finding the right guy, and that happened to be Romesh, who worked with Bring Me the Horizon, who the last album he worked on was Grammy nominated. So if I could, in my mind, if I could afford him, I was going to get him. So we went around finding him. I used to meet Romesh at lots of events in London and award ceremonies, heavy music awards and all this stuff in London. And we were always really drunk, and we'd always say, "Oh, I'd love to work with you," and he'd say the same. And then finally it happened. And yeah, I'm really pleased with the results, and hopefully it'll be the start of a long kind of relationship with working with him, because he's very, very special and talented.
Yeah. There's a lot of dynamics on this album, which I really like, I don't like being pummeled over the head for 60 minutes of just full volume. You got a lot of... intricacies and little. Sometimes you hear little piano chords here and there and stuff. And he did a hell of a job.
And I love that he did everything. So he produced the album, he mixed the album, and he even mastered the album. Because to me, I find it special that he's then been there through the whole thing, because he's mixed it a certain way, he produced it a certain way, so he knows how it should be mastered. You know, he's not hearing these songs fresh.
Mm-hmm.
He's hearing it from a point of view of he really does care, and he's invested in all these songs. So it made sense to have him do everything.
Yeah, it sounds great. It's a totally solid album. And like the song, one of my favorite songs is "He Will Provide." The guitars on that are just phenomenal. How'd that?
Yeah.
Do you remember how that song kind of came together?
Yeah, I do. My guitarist Dan, the one with no hair, he loved my work on the Uli John Roth Scorpions Revisited albums that I did. And he was like, dude, I love you singing this kind of like 70s Scorps stuff. And I was like, okay. And he went around writing a riff that was kind of inspired by an Uli John Roth riff, and a song with that kind of Middle Eastern feel, and a kind of galloping drum beat. So, yeah, that's how it came about. And then I started writing the lyrics, and it came to me really quickly, that song, like really quickly. And the verses have almost got an Ozzy Osbourne kind of feel to it. And I decided on the album that it should definitely be the one with a nice long solo. Whereas if we're in the live set, I could go off stage, you know, have something to eat, sit down for a while, relax, and the boys can just take over and go live. That middle section could end up being, well, I don't know, 5-6 minutes, you know.
Nice.
And that, it's kind of cool. I wanted to showcase how amazing these guitar players are. And as you say, that song, that's both guitar players dueling against each other.
Yeah.
And it's really wonderful, very special.
Now, I watched your the making of videos. I think there were 5 of them or something. And usually I ask about Cowbell, if you think some of these songs could have used Cowbell. But watching you guys track these, all you hear is Cowbell. with the click track, all you're hearing is Cowbell all the time. So you were probably surprised that there was no Cowbell on the album when you listen back.
There is.
Is there? Oh, yeah, there is a couple spots.
On Medusa, I believe there's it might be just the choruses.
Yeah, I think there is. Mm-hmm.
There's a tiny, it's very quiet, but it's definitely there. So, yeah, I don't know. We started recording another album 3 days ago.
Oh, no way.
And, yeah, we're trying to make the most of this time we have during lockdown, you know. Because we're not touring, so why not try and get some more albums done? And there's actually one song that is pretty much got Cowbell the whole time.
Sweet.
Who doesn't love Cowbell?
I tell you. Oh, now I know I've seen some videos of you on Facebook and stuff with your dog Ozzy. Is that his name?
Yeah. Yeah.
So does he think you're a loser now that you've been sitting home for so many days without going anywhere? Because my cats think the same thing. They're like, "Why are you here?"
Literally. And actually, I went away the other day, and I came back, and he was like, actually, where have you been? He was like, he was astonished that I had anything to do. Like, no, he's really cool. I actually got him, he's only 5 months old, and he's grown up to be a very cool little man. So, yeah, I wasn't expecting to get a dog, but I think this whole lockdown thing showed me that I had time to have a dog, and I had time to treat him right and raise him properly, because I don't want a disobedient one, you know. I want one I can train up, and that's been good about lockdown, is that he's such a well-behaved little chap already.
Awesome. Well, it's been great to have you on the show, and we're going to get out of here with Messiah. And this album is out now, and you can get it pretty much everywhere, right? iTunes and everything.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I ordered the vinyl, so everybody.
Very nice.
Yeah, I love it. This is a great album, and everybody should go out and get a copy of this for sure. And
thank you very much, man.
It's been a pleasure having you on the show, and we're going to get out of here with Messiah.
Cheers, buddy.